Hey everyone, welcome back. Toyota made a Land Cruiser EV concept that probably won't see the light of day. Very interesting article from The Verge. Go ahead, Toyota. Prove me wrong. I dare you. This is what the article is saying. I must admit, this vehicle does indeed look quite interesting and somewhat familiar. From the moment I saw this vehicle, I knew that I recognized the designs from somewhere before, from the Kia EV9. And I'm not joking, these vehicles, they do strike a similar resemblance in many different ways. And perhaps this is just a new direction that a lot of car companies are starting to take. You can see with the flat body panels, it's a bit of a futuristic design, but at the same time, filled with modern aesthetic. So it's a really interesting approach. But at the same time, perhaps this is just something that's starting to become more popular. And perhaps Toyota is trying out something. But at the same time, I see some similarities to Polestar. Polestar is one of those companies who started this sort of design for a few years now. Polestar started this sort of design for a few years now. You know where I recognize these kind of designs from? The Polestar 5, the Polestar Precept. It's a sport GT sedan, and I'd have to say it strikes quite a few similarities. And when you look at other Polestar vehicles, you realize that it's very natural for Polestar to have sharp body design within their vehicles. They've been doing it for some time. For anyone who's wondering, on the right hand side, this is what the Polestar Precept looks like. This is the concept vehicle for the Polestar 5 GT Sport Sedan. An absolutely beautiful vehicle in all respect. Body design wise, very sharp, very modern, with quite a few modern aesthetics. Very futuristic as well. Very futuristic approach for Polestar vehicles. Even the front end, it has a wing, quite similar to the Polestar 3 SUV. And I didn't always recognize that initially this vehicle has a wing at the front. And on the Polestar 3 SUV, this was actually a late addition design added to the vehicle. And this was admitted by Polestar and the design teams. But to see that this design philosophy has always been part of the Polestar branding, it's really nice to see. It confirms that this company understands fully the direction that they're going on. And unlike Toyota, the Polestar vehicles are coming to life. They're actually being made. There's actually a prototype for the Polestar 5, but that's for another time. Now let's go back to the Toyota. So Toyota is bringing the content for its 2023 Japan Mobility Show, showcase that includes an all-electric Land Cruiser SUV concept that could either be a serious contender to duke it out with the competing three-row EVs or just a premature look for things to come. I can't really tell if the Verge article is taking a dig at Toyota. I wouldn't really understand why, to be honest. Perhaps it's because Toyota hasn't always been known for making EV vehicles. They've either made hybrids or tried to make hydrogen vehicles. But Toyotas are one of those brands that are very relentless when it comes to doing what they want to do. However, when it comes to the EV world, they're very held back. They're very conservative. They haven't been one of those brands who've actually been properly motivated to get into the EV world. A lot of brands out there who are getting in the EV world, a lot of them are not properly motivated. A lot of them are just doing it for the sake of survival, doing it for making money as well. But if you look at brands like BMW has been making electric vehicles for a long time now. And it's one of the companies that underestimated how important it is to build electric vehicles. When BMW started building electric vehicles with the first BMW vehicles and the hybrids, if they'd continued on that pursuit, they would have been the Tesla of today. They would have been doing what Tesla is doing and still selling regular BMW petrol engine, diesel engine vehicles. I'm basically saying BMW could have been owning the electric market right now because they were one of the first brands to fully embrace it. Well, perhaps not fully, but they embraced it to a very good extent. But for some reason, they lacked the ambition to continue on that road, to continue on that path, to continue out developing. They could have beaten Tesla. BMW could have beaten Tesla, but they certainly lost out big on that one. Mercedes used to own 10% of Tesla. They sold it at a huge loss. And again, the share price have skyrocketed since then. Mercedes lost billions on that deal. And over time, 10% of Tesla will only gain in value. So this is a closer perspective of what this vehicle looks like from Toyota. Like I said, for now, it's just a concept, but as you can see, it is very similar to the EV9 from Kia. It also has a lot of similarities to a Range Rover, especially the Range Rover Velar. It has quite a few similarities, I'll have to say. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that at all. Companies are often taking inspiration from each other, so that's not always a bad thing. But this is a very interesting approach from Toyota, as you can see. Design-wise, it's very different. It doesn't really look like a Toyota. And from this picture, from the rear end, it kind of looks like a BMW, like those BMW SUVs, especially the newer type. The difference with this is that it's way sharper, way more simple. The BMWs are a bit more curvy. They're a bit sexier in my opinion. While this Toyota in particular, it's a lot more straightforward. It's a lot more simplistic. And it's perhaps what a lot of people would suggest would be a traditional SUV. That's the vibe that it's given off at least. Now the extra space between the wheels account for battery and the rest of the design seems to build to prioritize aerodynamics down to the digital side view mirror cameras. That's a huge giveaway that this vehicle is just a prototype for now. So Toyota says the quietness of the EV helps create a comfortable cabin space when driving in urban areas. A general benefit of electric cars that the automaker points out in seamlessly childlike wonders as it revisits the EV strategy. So is Toyota reconsidering the EV strategy? Because to be honest, they are late on adopting to EV. They've been making hybrids, and they've been one of the most successful companies at making hybrids because everyone is buying a Toyota Prius. They also make other Toyota hybrids as well that have also been selling relatively well. So perhaps all this time they've had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but at any moment they could easily adopt to building electric vehicles. Perhaps that's what they've been doing. Perhaps that's part of the strategy they've been using. But to what end? Will this make sense 10, 20 years from now? Will they regret not going into the EV venture? A lot more investment, a lot more commitment. Who knows? Toyota also says the Land Cruiser SE can handle rough terrain, which is good news for fans of classic gas off-roaders, despite the concept EV looking like your next unassuming Uber XL ride to the airport. Toyota has a space mobility prototype designed to traverse rocky extraterrestrial bodies. The two-seater space ATV tech will go into automaker's future lunar cruiser vehicle it's developing. So basically, a lot of the technology that they're putting into these concepts will be further brought into additional Toyota vehicles, which is good to see. Toyota does have a competitor to the F-150, the Ford F-150. I'm not sure if it's a Land Cruiser, I could be wrong, but they do have a competitor. And I think it's one of the best-selling pickup trucks in the world, mostly in America perhaps. And Ford has the F-150 Lightning, and they want to continue building as many of those as possible. They want to ramp that up. They want to do it properly because in the United States, it is such a huge market. Now, Toyota's electric Land Cruiser seems like the company's first realistic look at a large electric family hauler, and it comes at the time when other automakers are rushing to fill the segment. Let me know what you think. What do you think about the Toyota Land Cruiser EV concept? Is it similar to the Ford EV9? Is it similar to Polestar design vehicles like the Polestar 5? Different vehicles, Polestar 5 is a sedan. The Land Cruiser EV concept, that's a big SUV, but body-wise, sharp angles, modern aesthetics, there is some similarities. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.